Here's a day in my life as a hospitalist or a hospital medicine doctor. So my day starts early. I have to be at the hospital right at 7 a.m. And the first thing I do is I log into the computer and I pull up a list of the different patients that I will see throughout the day. And before I do anything else, I want to make sure that each patient is stable. So I'll look at the vital signs, I'll look at recent laboratory tests. And if somebody seems unstable, if their pulse is very fast or their blood pressure low, I'll stop what I'm doing and I'll see the patient right away. That's pretty rare. Usually the overnight doctors do a good job at keeping everyone stable throughout the night. Then I'll start what I call the chart review or the pre-rounding part of the day. So here I'll spend about an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours, and I'll dig really deeply into each of the patient's cases, make sure I understand everything about what's going on with them. You know, their symptoms at home, what brought them into the hospital, what sort of tests were done, how did they get their initial diagnoses, and what's going on with them now. And I do that for each of the patients that I'll see throughout the day and start coming up with a preliminary plan for what sort of things I hope to accomplish throughout the day. After that, and by now it's probably around like maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock, I'll start rounding on, actually I think earlier than that, maybe more like 9 o'clock. I'll start rounding on each patient and I'll go to each of their rooms individually. And here I'll do my physical examination, I'll talk to the patient, see how they're feeling, what sort of symptoms are they still experiencing. Then I'll do the actual physical examination. That's where I take out my stethoscope, listen to the heart and lungs. I'll examine the belly, typically for everybody in the hospital, and then do some more specialized examination maneuvers depending on what sort of conditions they have. For example, if somebody is here in the hospital with a stroke, I'll do a very careful neurologic examination. This part of the day is usually pretty busy. I keep my pager on me and nurses will call me to warn me about things that are going on with patients, maybe abnormal lab tests that are coming in or changes in patients' conditions. So I have to be very responsive to pages that come in. Then once I finish seeing all the patients, it's typically around 11:30 in the morning, and this part of the day is crunch time. This is where I've already come up with a plan for what sort of tests need to be done or what new medications are we going to use, what patients need procedures. And so I have to put this plan into practice. So typically between 11:30 and 12:30, I make loads of phone calls. I'll put in all the orders on the computer, talk to specialists, talk to case managers, coordinate care with the other members of the medical team. Then if I'm lucky, I'll get a little bit of time for lunch. Usually I just eat in the hospital cafeteria. Rarely I'll bring some food from home, but usually it's just more or less a quick bite to eat. I never really take a full hour for lunch break or anything like that. Then once I finish up with the orders, I'll get to work on documentation. So this is the part of the day that, is probably not so fun, but it's something that has to be done. So every move that's made in the hospital, whether it's ordering a new test or using a different type of antibiotic or preparing a patient for surgery, everything we do in the hospital has to be documented. So here I'll usually spend between an hour and a half to 2 hours just doing all my documentation for the activities done during the day. Then after that, I'll look over everything, make sure all the right medications are being used, make sure I didn't miss anything throughout the day. And then usually around this time in the afternoon, it's like 3:30, 4 o'clock. By the time I finish up with everything, it's usually pretty late in the evening, like 6:30, 6:45 p.m. And at this time, I'll call the doctor who's coming in to take care of patients over the night, and I'll sign out anything that needs to be followed up. And then finally, after all that, I'll pack up my bags and head home. So it's a pretty busy day. There's really not a whole lot of downtime, but one thing I will say is that the day is never boring. If you have any questions about what life is like as a hospital medicine doctor, please let me know in the comment section down below.